was business system group and business system. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and just complete few more settings which are remaining on the EWM side, and then we'll start our configuration related to CIF, okay, core interface. So next setting which we will be going through is controlling parameters for the ERP version. You know, similar setting we had in ECC where we set control parameters for the EWM version. Same way we are just going to see how the what settings are provided by SAP which are based on the ECC version. Okay, so if we have a look at the settings, this is our business system. Yeah, this is the ECC system. We want the EWM system, so you can see it is ECC is release 6 enhancement pack 6, which is our ECC system, and you can see some settings, you know, which you can do here. These settings are kind of very important, you know, and they have impact on, you know, how the communication is sent. Let's say, for example, immediately send the GR posting and partial GR to ERP. Okay, so generally these settings, you know, if we, since we are going through a very basic, we are going to go through a EWM demonstration in, you know, as per the SAP, you know, configured scenarios. So we will not be changing anything here. We will be going through what SAP has recommended. Let's say if you don't want any postings, you know, inspection decisions to be given in EWM, then you can say, you know, no inspection decisions can be made. Okay. Or you want to stop your internal inspection decisions and stock transfer. If you want to activate, you can just activate it here, where you use quality QIE module in the EWM side. So there are, you know, so quality confirmation for returns if you want to send, or if you don't want to send. I mean, SAP recommends us to maintain it as do not communicate inspection result to ERP, but we can maintain if we want to do inspection for returns. Okay, I mean, other settings, you know, just I mean, what you get in your default system, just keep it as it is. It's based on the version. If you upgrade, you know, just check with SAP if you need to update anything here. Okay, so this setting generally version specific. You will get it when you have a fresh EWM box. I mean, just keep it as it is. Yeah. Then let's go to the next set of settings, which is the number ranges. Okay, so these number ranges are client specific. Okay, so you will see the same as I was explaining you yesterday. Delivery number can be used for different warehouses. So delivery number is a client specific, you know, client specific number range. Okay, which is not based on any warehouse. Okay, so you can see these are some of the number ranges which are already maintained. So to make sure that these number ranges are maintained, when you get a system, you know, these number ranges may be blank. So I just added the number ranges which SAP suggests, you know, as a, for delivery it should start from 0, it should be a 0 to 9999, or how much it should be a length, idle length. So just mention those number ranges. Number ranges for expected bill to see it here. Until this we have all these are client level, so these are already maintained here. So these number ranges, you know, are These number ranges are basically for the different documents that are generated. Let's say outbound deliveries, inbound deliveries, outbound delivery orders, posting changes, stock transfers. In EWM we have a new document called as expected good receipt. Then there are some internal cons or internal data which is generated. So we need to maintain the number ranges here for those technical internal number range. Sorry, a number range for those internal objects. Then then on the number range side we also have one more number range which we need to mention. I think this should also be there. The interface, ERP integration, delivery processing, number ranges for ERP document. So these number ranges are used when deliveries are generated from EWM. Okay, so for a certain scenario, as I was explaining, when you split the deliveries, basically one delivery you are creating two deliveries. For one delivery we are creating two deliveries. So we are kind of splitting the delivery into two. So the second delivery is created in EWM, right? So first one is splitted and a new delivery is created out of the first one. New delivery is created in EWM. There are many more instances, like in let's say for example there is a concept called like expected good receipt. So in expected good receipt also the good receipt is good receipt document, a delivery document is created in EWM. So when we are in that expected good receipt we move the purchase order to EWM, and in EWM we create a delivery. So there are certain scenarios where the delivery is not created from ECC into EWM, but it can be initiated from EWM into ECC. So in that case, this is the number range system we use. So why it will use this different number range? Because in ECC, the deliveries, they have a number range. Let's say for example, inbound delivery. Inbound delivery has a number range 18, right? 18000 something. Then if we maintain the same number range here, then there could be a issue with the number range overlapping, because let's say you create a delivery of this, let's say you create a delivery of 1 with 000 zeros. The same delivery, instead of 100, I maintain a 180000 something. If I create 180, same delivery, the same delivery might be there in ECC already, because ECC is using that number range. So to avoid that overlap, we have to create a different number range which is not there in ECC. Okay, so this number range is for the documents which are generated from EWM. Okay, then there are some few more general settings which we need to make sure we maintain them, like ECC, because some of the data will be coming from ECC, and we need to make sure that EWM accepts that, because if it doesn't accept, then the delivery might the delivery replication might fail. Okay, so some of the settings are here. Delivery priority. The delivery priority, we can say a delivery as a normal, express, urgent, or one-day delivery, next-day delivery. So you can give different priorities in the ECC side. So just make sure we have the same priority created in EWM. If not, the delivery replication from ECC to EWM will fail. Okay, because EWM will not be able to take those priorities. Same way, shipping condition, just verify with ECC whatever shipping conditions you are using, they are created in EWM, so that EWM supports those shipping conditions. Again, Incoterms, for guys which are not from the logistics side, maybe from technical side, Incoterms are globally defined terms of delivery. Okay, so when there is a contract, or there is a business being done between vendor and customer, okay, between a vendor and a customer. Then they decide what mode of delivery it will be. So they decide, let's say for example, free on board. That means, I mean, Incoterms, if you see their website, they have all list of duties. Okay, so which vendor, what is the responsibility of the vendor when it comes to free on board? What is the responsibility of vendor when it is uh, cost in insurance and flight? What is the responsibility of vendor when it is X works? So let's say in X works, the vendor's responsibility is just to create the product, pack it, and keep it ready outside his working premises. Okay. Then free on board, vendor's responsibility is to take the product, pack it, keep it ready on the board, from where it will be shipped, maybe a port or something. Okay. There are these different kind of Incoterms. These are globally defined and accepted by all industries. Okay. So these Incoterms are generally maintained in purchase orders, or might be maintained in shipping documents as well. Okay, so these Incoterms EWM should recognize them, so should be available in the system. So we'll just make it like ECC. Okay. Then let's start now our configuration where we'll create a warehouse. Okay, and the EWM side. So we have a warehouse. We have to create a warehouse. Let us, as decided, we'll create a warehouse WH80. So, okay. Uh, so there is a slightly different approach to how we create org structure and how we create an EWM. So in ECC, we go in the definition. Okay, we just copy something and create it. Here, we don't copy anything. There are two ways of creating a warehouse. We create a warehouse as H80. So we just simply create a new warehouse in one transaction. Okay, and we so as we understood, that we also need the configuration to be copied, right? So why we need the configuration copied? Because the associated tables will get filled with the standard config. Okay, so we don't have to maintain it each and every place. So I have created a warehouse, and then we have a different setting to copy the configuration. Okay, so where's the setting? I think it's in the cross process. So we created the warehouse. Now we'll copy the config for the warehouse. So as I've mentioned in my reference document, the reference plant or reference warehouse is ACT1. Okay, I'm just copying it from ACT1. So this is a reference warehouse from where you have to copy a config. For people using some other system, you can use a template warehouse. Generally the standard EWM system has a template warehouse. Let's say starts with EWH1. I think this is the standard warehouse which we'll get in a in a system which is which is provided by SAP, or it's generally EWDE or something. Okay, so just check, or you can copy from 0001. Okay, so I'm just copying it from ACT1 because somebody has done some change in 0001, or I put in somebody for doing testing has done some changes which impacts my testing. So I'll just take ACT1. So let's copy the configuration now. So we create first and then we copy the configuration in EWM. Do you want to continue with the data? Yes. Let me create a new transport. So the tables will get copied now. So, once we copy this, our next settings will be, how do we integrate this with the warehouse, that we will be, that we have already created in ECC. Okay. So how do we, say WH8 in ECC is WH08 in EWM. Okay. So those mapping we'll cover, once this warehouse is created. Okay, I think all the configurations are copied now. So I think should be number ranges somewhere. Okay. Anyways, if something is some warning there, we'll ignore. Okay. So now let's go to the settings where we integrate this warehouse to our ECC warehouse. So what is the setting? Map warehouse number. This is the setting map warehouse number from ERP system to EWM. So here you can see, business system is coming up here. So, for the same, for different systems, different business systems, we can assign, let's say WH1 is from, WH1 is from one warehouse. Okay, sorry, it's from one company, WH1, and if the same warehouse is from another company, then we can say that a different business system and then assign that warehouse WH1. But it's highly, impractical where you will have both the companies using the same warehouse code. Okay, just I'm saying, for example. So both the companies, if they have WH1, so you can differentiate by business system. So business system is, it's kind of a representation of your ERP system in EWM. Okay. So it just always links your ERP system details to your documents that we create in EWM. I think the other business system group that we discussed yesterday is, just used once. Maybe I think we may not be using it again. That's only used if we need to use some bodies for number range of materials, or sorry, products. Okay, so let's make a new entry here, and I'll copy this here, and I will say my warehouse is WH8 in ECC. So any delivery which comes from ECC which has a warehouse 8, it should consider that this is warehouse WH08. WH80. Okay. So this is important config where you make sure that you are, you know, um, assigning the ECC warehouse to EWM warehouse. Okay. Then we, I mean, next setting is kind of optional, where we have to activate the bodies. Okay, so 2.16 it talks about activating bodies for location. So any uh, org structure element which has an address, let's say a shipping point or a plant or any address specific element in ECC, even vendors and customers, it is created as location in EWM. Okay, so this body can be used for location. Okay, it can be used for product. It can be used for partner. Partner means vendor or customer. Okay, so what this body does basically, it is used for adding prefixes. Okay, so SAP recommends that you can add prefix for your org structure elements or for your uh, partners, vendors or customers. So let's say for example, it is saying if your plant is 1001, you can have a prefix using this body. So when that plant is created in EWM, it will be like PL1001. So this is how the location will be created. Okay, so there are different location types. Okay, let's say 1001, 1002, 1034. So 1001 means plant, 1002 means distribution center, 3 means shipping point. So what SME recommends that you can implement these bodies if you want to have a prefix. Okay. So why we need a prefix? I'll just tell you an example. Let's say we have a plant 1000. Okay. So it will create a location as 1000 if there is no prefix. We also have a shipping point which is again 1000, which will again create a location of name 1000. So now the plant and shipping point, they have different address. Okay, so that will create um, a mismatch, because you can create just one entry with 1000 in a system, right? So we'll create one location of 1000. So it can be either shipping point or either plant. So what SAP says, if your plant number can be used as a shipping point, then better you add prefixes, or your plant number can be used as a distribution center, or the same number. If the plant number is okay, the plant number is 1000. Okay, and we will also create a vendor as 1000. See, plant is also created as vendor and customer because plant also supplies to um, you know your other plants. Okay, or plant, whenever delivery is created, your plant becomes your vendor or the customer when you do plant to plant transfer. Okay, so we are intra-company stock transfer process. In stock transfer process, your plant becomes a vendor, plant becomes a customer. Okay, because you're supplying to another plant may be supplying to you, so you can become a customer. So if you are creating customer, if we are creating a location in name of 1000, then we cannot create it as a customer. If it is a plant, we cannot create a separate as a customer, it's separate as a supplier. So again, this is optional. If you want, until you come across a situation where the plant number is, you want to use it as a shipping point or you want to use it as something else, then you think about adding a prefix. But ideally, um, in this system I have not activated these prefixes. But yeah, if you want any prefix for all your configuration, entries and for your customer and supplier. So any vendor that we shift from ECC, okay, will have SU as a prefix. Any carrier will have CA as a prefix. So this is just to quickly recognize, what kind of partner it is. Okay. So this body can be implemented not only for location. Okay, it can be used for product as well. If you want to, as I said, during my business system group, if you want to add any prefix for a product, okay, depending on your company, okay, depending from the ERP system which we are getting. Okay, let's say we talk about an example of a delivery coming from A and delivery coming from B, and then we could have a prefix so that we can identify from which system they are coming. So this is the, for that purpose, you can implement a body. So this is a path where you can get that body. So EWM has, a lot of bodies, it makes it flexible for us, to apply our company specific logic. So these are few bodies, again, just didn't, I just wanted to just run you through that these are bodies and these are options for us if we want. So bodies for partner, if in case we want any prefix or suffix for our customer or vendors, we can use this body. Okay. So these are, all the settings that we come across while we are freshly, um, starting to use EWM system. Okay. So these are some of the decisions which we need to make. Okay. Then let's go to, okay, then this configuration talks about the number ranges for our business partners. Okay. So one thing in EWM is, one point to note here is that we have customers, we have vendors in ECC, but in EWM customers and vendors, or let's say carriers, which we, with the transportation providers, all these are created as partners, okay, business partners we call them. So there is a place where we go and maintain the number ranges for business partners. Okay. So we'll just quickly review that number range as well before we go ahead to next set of settings. Cross application components. SAP business partner. Business partner. Basic settings. Here you can see, we have said A to ZZZ 1000 to 9999 as externally determined, because these number ranges are going to come from ECC. So you create a plant 1515, or we create a plant of 8000. So that plant we are going to create a business partner. So this external number ranges, will be considered for that. Okay. Or we create a plant in the name of WH80, let's say, for example, then this number ranges will come into picture in that case. So business partners, as I said, in EWM are representation of your customers and vendors. So just go through this part if you want to, if you find worth interesting, implementing some bodies for prefix and suffix. Otherwise, these are not much required. Okay, if you are working with one-to-one ECC system and you have a lot of differentiator between your number ranges for your customer, vendors, shipping points, so they don't overlap. Whatever locations, any of these number ranges or any of this don't overlap in ECC, then you don't need it. Okay. Okay, so some more settings which we need to make sure we map it with ECC in the EWM side. Okay, so that's the, let's see, this is master data. Should be in transportation group product. So we maintain transportation group in ECC. Okay, same transportation group we need to maintain in EWM. So because your products will be, given from ECC to EWM. So if you put any transportation group in ECC, EWM has to recognize it. So here again, we maintain similar setting like we did for input terms. Okay. Then, there are a few more settings worth visiting is specify the output format of product number. So the maximum product length of any product in EWM is 40. Okay. And you can choose if you want to reduce it. Then if you want to upload any template or there is a specific script for numbering of products, or you want the leading zeros to be displayed. So here, this is the place where you can maintain those conversions. Okay. So we just keep it standard 40. Okay. Then there are some settings which we need to do as part of our system building. Okay, I'm just explaining you because you might come across same situation where you see this in the workbook, but this really does not make any relevance to us. But since we have to do this because as part of this system setting, okay, the next setting that I'm going to show you is just to make sure if you're using EWM system without APO. Okay, so from 9 EWM 9 version, APO and EWM both are in separate instance, right? So this is a system where we used to use APO. So what we have to do is we have to simply run this program. Okay, so this program is going to create a model and a planning version. So model and planning versions are mandatory for APO. I mean for this STM system, but they are used for APO. But first the system was developed for APO and then later on for EWM. So if you don't want to use APO and you want to use it for EWM, we still need a model and planning version. That's the design of this STM system. So SAP, what it has done, it has created a program, a program to create a dummy model and a dummy planning version. We never use this planning version or model in EWM. It just creates those dummy, just as part of a system requirement. Okay, and they exist and then they don't do anything. They just help us to execute our scenarios. Okay, so just simply create this version first time when you're using a new system. Okay, all right. So any questions on whatever settings we did on the EWM side? Now we'll start the settings of the ECC and EWM both related to core interface. So any questions so far?
Hi Ron, Prashant here.
Yes, Prashant.
Regarding the body implementation for the prefixes, uh, suppose like plant is a 4-character field or a warehouse number is a 4-character field. Okay, so those prefixes will be excluded from that, means
No, we
WH.
are not.
Okay,
No, we are not adding a prefix for plant. We are adding prefix for product shape. We are adding prefix for let's say first thing there are three entities for which we are adding prefix. One is business partner. This is our vendor or customer. So whatever, let's say we create a vendor in this name and we just add a prefix SP. So this will, the number range of business partner will take care of, including the prefix.
Okay.
So, but it's not, we are not adding prefix to, plant. There is no plant like thing in EWM.
Okay.
So
So
we move plant. Yeah.
okay. So when we implement those bodies, number ranges will be changed with that prefixes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Not number ranges. Yeah, number range will not consider that prefix, right?
Okay.
Number range will be integrated, but when storing in the system, it will store with prefix.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, same way, we have a, these are master data, basically location, and same way product. If we we see the product here, so the product will be, let's say, XYZ, but since we added prefix, it will be PR XYZ. Okay, this way you can search it. So always, when you are entering the product, your database table will go and store prefixes. So when you search it with XYZ, it will not store. And when you search with PR XYZ, that time it will store. So see, this product we will not create from product. We will not be creating directly in EWM. We'll be moving it from ECC to EWM. So product in ECC will be XYZ. When it comes to EWM, it will be created as PRXYZ.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Right.
Everyone shares here.
Yes, yes.
Just regarding these bodies only. Let's say if we have not activated these bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and once the let's say plant is transferred with the number 100,000, and we have
Okay.
a shipping point with the same number in ECC, let's say, then that shipping point will be that transfer will go into error, or it will not. I mean, what will happen in that case?
Yeah, so when we shift, okay, if we have a plant in the name of 1000 and shipping
Yeah.
point also in the name of 1000. Let's say we shift the plant first to EWM.
Yeah.
Then when we try to shift the shipping point also with the name of 1000, it will give us error saying that the location already exists.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I
so
mean, in that case, we have to start the entire process again, or it's like we start
no,
from
no.
the error point.
So if you get this error, that means you have either you go and change your shipping point and give a different number range for your shipping point, or
Uh-huh.
the other option is to implement this body if you can't change your shipping point. See, there are already businesses, where you will be implementing EWM. They already are mature. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
in those cases, you have to implement this body. There is no other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is like
So let's
recommended by
say,
SAP to have these bodies.
yeah, these bodies are provided by SAP and they are recommended by SAP.
No, no, I mean, okay, it's recommended to implement all this.
Yes, but you can. It's optional for you. If it is not impacting you. So if it's a greenfield implementation, you can always take care that that number is not used for a shipping point. So shipping point will be created after plant, after EWM is set up. So
Mm-hmm.
while EWM is being set up, so you can keep that condition. But let's say there is a plant which is operational since 5-6 years. They have taken that number for shipping point, and they can't change. Then we have to use this body, and we'll try to reduce the implementation of the body, saying that only prefix should be assigned for shipping point, not for others. Yeah. So you can see, the location 1000 is the production plant, so I cannot create another location with, with 1003 as a shipping point, because Location means anything which has address. It has your time zones. It has your location details. So all those things are there. So it's kind of a representation of your exact location where this is located. So can't be two, cannot be one. That's the idea.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So so next set of settings is related to SIP. So SIPing, as I told you, it's the full form is core interface, and this is a technique through which we uh, send master data from ECC to EWM. Okay, so just to give you a idea, how SIF works, there are just two transactions, which we have to use while executing SIFing. One is CFM1, okay, where we create an integration model and we select what product or what, which plant we want to SIF, or which, material, or which, you know, uh, what is batches. So you can also save batches, you can save. I mean, there are some more details related, which we may not be using, which are APO relevant. As I told you, this was initially used by APO. Such things we may not be using. Some same way, the stock data and all those things we don't use. But master data like material, we can save plant, MRP areas. We can save um, customers, vendors, shipping points. Okay. Yeah, this is batches. We do save batches. Others, we don't use them. They are used by APO. Okay. Yeah. So.
Excuse me, Rohan.
Yeah.
I got a question. What is the best practice for integration models? You just use one model to save all your objects, or you want to break your integration model down according to objects, like one for vendors, materials?
Yeah. I mean, it's ideally recommended that you break your model down for vendors, for customers. Even though you group them into one, that doesn't impact you. But it is recommended because we need to set up a batch job, okay, for SIFing. Let's say I'll come back to that in once we do some SIFing. So in a regular business sense, let's say we create some product, we sift them to EWM, okay, we send them to EWM. But on a daily basis, there are products created in your company, vendors, customers created. Each time you don't want to come into this transaction and sift it to EWM, right? So what you will be doing is you will be scheduling a batch job, which always takes all the new products or new customers, vendors, and sifts them to EWM. So that batch job, when we schedule, we create separate integration module, one for vendor, one for customer, one for product. So if something fails, we can identify that particular, kind of the particular entity which is causing us an issue, whether it's vendor or customer, or else if vendor fails, the entire customer master slipping will fail, or um, uh, the customers would fail, So we generally create separate for separate entity, separate object. Then one more point, when we talk about SIFing, we generally, there are org structure elements like plant, shipping point. We generally sift them manually because they are configuration entries, right? So we don't, we use separate integration model for plant, separate for shipping point, and we sift them manually. So we'll do that, for all our objects that we have created, and we'll see, how it can be done. But yeah, recommended approach is to keep it separate. Okay. So the integration module. Okay. So there are two transactions which we'll be using, CFM1 and CFM2. So before we go ahead and do some sifting of our objects that we have created, let us first go through some quick settings related to this. So CFM1, CFM2, just if you get a chance, just go through those. I think today we'll just quickly go through these configuration for the sifting, and tomorrow probably we'll try to save all these things. So okay, so we created all our settings, we did all our settings in ECC system, then we did it in the EWM system. So now we are coming back to ECC. Okay, so I'm just out of EWM now. So in ECC system, so you remember in the EWM system, just now what we have done is we have created a warehouse and assigned a link between ECC warehouse and EWM warehouse, correct? Same way, we now have to set up a link between EWM warehouse and ECC warehouse in ECC. Okay, so here we have to say again the same thing, like WH8 means WH80. Okay, this is because we are kind of just completed the EWM thing. So this we couldn't do it earlier because we didn't have EWM warehouse ready. Okay. Okay. Then for doing the sifting, there are certain prerequisites. First prerequisite is you have to activate business transaction events. So these events, if we activate, then only we'll be able to use sifting. So this event, what they do is they ensure that these are kind of a prerequisite which will ensure that anything related to sifting, we get in our configuration, and we are able to use the application in ECC system. Okay, so assuming that you don't have APO and first time you are implementing EWM in your SCM, probably not only EWM, SCM in your company. So you have to activate this business transaction events. If you don't see them in your drop-down, you have to check with your basis team, and they will get it activated for you. So you can see you have all the applications here. These all applications are activated here. So you need to make sure that these two are activated, these two applications are activated. Okay. Then there are some settings related to sifting. Okay, I mean most of settings are part of this table. This integration, this is as well. Here it is. Initial data transfer, change transfer, master data configurations. Yeah, so that is the part. Okay, so this is a very important config. So just make sure when you are changing this, all other ends just keep it as it is. It should be immediate transfer. That means you have to immediately transfer your SIP data, and use BTE transfer. So it will use that business transaction event that we have just activated. Okay, So it uses that event. So we use BTE. I think if you use ALE, this is also used for IDOC. I think sometimes if you want to use IDOC, so I think ALE1 is used. For all our vendors, customer, material, just select 2 here. It's again an important setting. Maybe you might be having it as default when you are getting a new system, but make sure that these are the settings which SAP recommends that you should maintain. Read stock, filter object, required tick mark to be done. Just make sure you do that. Okay, then one more setting. Activate ALE change pointers for message type. So basically, these change pointers, CIF CUS, CIF BND, CIF MAT, and we have got MRP area. So these are the message type. Why these are to be activated? Because if these are for these change pointers are if anything is any change in your material master or vendor master or customer master. See, basically both the systems are required to be in sync, ECC and EWM, correct? So if you're changing any master data in ECC system, that has to be replicated to EWM system. Okay, immediately. Let's say, for example, you're changing the unit of measure from pieces to each. Your EWM should also go and change that unit of measure, right? So both the systems are required to be in sync, or that change pointer setting, this change pointer setting which we need to do is because, let's say for example, these changes, if they are not replicated in EWM, or let's say when we do SIFing, okay, every day we can't SIF all the objects to EWM, correct? So let's say I have around 10,000 products in my company, okay, so every day I cannot, or every day or every hour I cannot move all 10, I cannot make a match saying that whatever 10,000 are there, they are the same in EWM. I cannot do that cross check, right? So what it does, it's a standard way of working. You guys might have already known the change pointer concept when we use it for other master data interfaces. So anything which is changed in the product or customer or vendor, which is subjected to impact the system where it is to be distributed, okay, then it gets stored into the change pointer table. Okay, so this data, this changes if you have changed any product for which there are certain fields which we mark specific to change pointers. So if you change any of those fields, that particular material will get stored in the change pointer table, and only that particular material will be SIFT to EWM. Okay, so in that sense, what this change pointer does is, out of 10,000 material, let's say I have changed only 100 today. So only those system will, when they are sending the product data to EWM, it will only pass on those 100 products again to EWM, not all the 10,000. So this kind of gives a better performance. Okay, and only the relevant ones are changed. The relevant ones are passed on to EWM. Okay, so this change pointer concept, like we have for master data distribution to any other interface, the same concept is used here. So we have to activate the standard message type. Okay, these are for SIFing, right? So this message type has all the fields, and they have this, they use the same change pointer tables in the background. Okay. Okay, I think this is the last setting before we start doing SIFing. That is the maxim model. So this maxim model, what it does is, it again, this maxim what it does is, if you have done any changes related to your SIFing, okay, anytime if you have done any change related to your SIFing, so, and you have active integration models, okay, so let's say today you have 10-15 integration model being used for transferring data to EWM, and you've made any change there to those integration model. Sorry, if you have changed any configuration related to CIFing, then your existing integration model, if you want that configuration or the change you have done to be applied, then you just run this report. What it does is generate and reconcile the runtime version of active model. So whatever active models are there, it will just kind of reconcile them to the existing configuration or existing setup that you have done. Okay. So this integration, you have to run first time when or any time if you do any changes for CIF. Okay. So just make sure that this is carried out. So this impacts or this kind of updates all your active integration models. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Tomorrow we'll do some CIFing for plant, or just to give you some idea what we are going to cover tomorrow. We'll just CIF plant. Okay, all the org structure element we'll CIF. So we don't have plant in EWM, so how plant is recognized in EWM, how shipping point, customer, vendors, how they are recognized in EWM. All these things we are going to see in EWM. So org structure elements will CIF tomorrow, and we'll also start creating master data for our demonstration. We'll create products, vendors, customers, and we'll try to keep some data ready for our actual execution. Okay, so we'll stop here today. If you have any questions, you can email me, or you can let me know.
Yeah. Deborah, could you share your email address with me, please, so I can get the documents? I don't have the documents.
Yeah, I'm sharing the documents right away with you. I mean, I can get it from Microsoft team, no issues.
You have my email address? Yes, I'm typing my email address in.
Okay. So, yeah, thanks. Can I have a Gmail? I have a Google Drive, so it will be better.
Gmail? I can give you my Gmail.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you. I just want Weber and maybe Prashant to wait. I mean, somebody was facing issue with creating warehouse yesterday.
Hi Rohan, actually yesterday I didn't get time to create it as it was a festive day. So today I'll do it myself and I'll mail it to you.
Or do you want? Okay. So, or do you want me to have a look now with you? I mean, others
No,
in the.
I'll just I'm having my problem with my laptop as well, so I have connected from my. So I tried myself today and I'll send you the screenshot. If we face the problem, then we can try discussing it tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, tomorrow after the session. Okay. No problem.
Okay, Rohan, this is Dix again. Do you have your? I'm looking. I know earlier you opened an Excel spreadsheet, then with your configuration values, and you are using reference. You're using some reference configuration. Are you going to share that document? Are you going to share that document also?
Yeah, that's there in the shared drive as well, so you can.
Okay.
Take that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So see you tomorrow then. Bye.
Bye, Ron. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.